in. And we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too.
The idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called world.
AR-15 in order to act out his assassination attempt. An AR-15 has a range of about 400 to 600 yards. My question, why is the Secret Service protective perimeter shorter than one of the most popular semi-automatic weapons in the United States?
There are a number of weapons out there with a number of ranges. Again, an advance was completed. The determination of the perimeter, I'm not going to speak to specifics, but there are a number of factors that are taken into account when we determine our perimeter. Some of it has to do with terrain, some of it has to do with buildings, some of it has to do with assets and resources that are available.
What I'm hearing is that a perimeter was not established outdoors in an outdoor venue that would prevent
Up, everybody. Welcome into Redacted. I'm Clayton Morris.
I'm Natalie Morris.
And on this show, we cover the stories the mainstream media largely ignores, covering through all of the propaganda and stuff that the mainstream media piles on you on a regular basis. And we have a lot of news to get to today because, well, it was only 24 hours, 48 hours or so since President Trump became President-elect Trump, and already major moves in the war in Ukraine and the wars in the Middle East. What will the Trump administration maybe already about to do in Ukraine to end this war? Man, the warmongers in Washington, D.C. are not happy about this. So we're going to break this all down for you in just a few moments.
Plus, liberal women going on a sex strike because they're so upset over the election of Donald Trump. This is not the flex that liberal women think it is. And we're going to talk about how, yes, it's funny. It's also kind of sad because they're hurting themselves by the messaging of the Democrats that purport to support them. So we're going to talk about that. That's not the way, girls. This is not the way.
No, it's not the way. We're going to get there. Also, did you see the meltdowns on late night television last night? Oh my God, Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, like all of them just in there, they're crying into their Cheerios. Really, really terrible. We'll talk about that. Some of them are Canadian, by the way. But we're also going to talk about Canada. Is a red wave about to strike Canada? They didn't see the red wave coming in the United States. And now when you go county by county by county in the United States, it was an absolute disaster for Democrats. Major Latino votes turning out, black votes turning out, gay votes turning out for Trump. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A gay American saying we're tired of the LGBTQ plus whatever movement co-opting our movement, voting for Trump. Like, this is an absolute disaster for liberals. Is the same thing about to happen in Canada? Justin Trudeau better get his bags packed up there in Canada.
Well, what's so funny, though, is that Democrats purport to love diversity and multiculturalism. Trump did it. He actually did have a multicultural win, a diverse group of voters, age, sex, race. They hate that. They should then stick their little heads in that intersectionality that they love so much and think, why did these people do this? We thought we spoke for them. They're right. Speaking for themselves. What just happened? He did what they purport to do. And so it's lovely to see that they don't really stand for those things at all. They're liars.
It's amazing. So thank you guys for joining us here live. Thank you for subscribing and being a part of our great community here. We really appreciate it, and supporting independent media. Yes, we are not backed by billionaire corporations, Pfizer, Moderna, any of those guys. By the way, these lawsuits are about to come after Pfizer. Loving it. Big lawsuit just filed in the state of Kansas. Big civil suit now that Trump's been elected, going after Pfizer for lying about their COVID vaccine. Oh, it's about to... The dam is about to open, and I am here for it. I'm here for it with all the popcorn. I am ready to go and watch this. So we're going to get to all of your news here in just a second. Huge news updates in a second. But first, we have to tell you about a huge scam right now that's happening across the United States: house stealing. The FBI says this is one of the largest and growing scams in the United States, where scammers access your home's equity. America is sitting on trillions of dollars in home equity right now. Many of you have a home that has a lot of equity in your home. Well, what if you went to bed and then you woke up and found the title to your home had been taken from you? This is happening all across the country. And the scariest part is you won't even find out about it until unpaid loan bills or foreclosure notices start arriving in your mailbox. But by then, the damage has already been done, and you're left with a legal or financial nightmare to deal with. Yes, people stealing the title of your home. And all they have to do, they have to get a simple notary and then submit that to the county. And that's how these scammers are doing it. And you won't even know about it. And that's where our friends at Home Title Lock comes in. Now, I am a customer of Home Title Lock. I think this is vital for every American. It's a small price to pay for you to get your home title protected by Home Title Lock. And the best part is you can get a 30-day free trial. Just right now, 30-day free trial. Well, they will actually scan to see if your title is safe and make sure that you have triple lock protection. And they will give you a complimentary title history of your home. All you have to do is go to HometitleLock.com/redacted. Click on the link in the description box. Again, this is HomeTitleLock.com, promo code redacted. You really want to protect yourself, and that's why we protect our home with Home Title Lock as well.
Emily in our chat says that in Canada it would be a blue wave. The Conservative Party there is blue. So sorry about that. So what we're talking about is a rejection of liberals and specifically the authority. Yes, indeed. So
Europe too, they call it a blue wave.
Okay.
The Conservatives. So
yes.
And red. It's red in the United States, blue in Canada. So
just like that
wave.
date convention, we put the date month backwards. So sorry about that. It's an Americanism, but we see you.
All right, blue wave coming to Canada. All right, well, let's talk about this. President Trump has been president-elect for just 48 hours, and already his Trump team has outlined a strategy to basically end the conflict in Ukraine already. And President Putin in the past 24 hours has said he's ready to talk peace. So the Wall Street Journal dropping this bombshell story, and it's honestly a big middle finger to Europe and with the warmongers in the United Kingdom. Remember, there was a peace plan in place. Boris Johnson and the merry band of UK warmongers got in the way of the peace plan that kept this thing going. Hundreds of thousands of additional Ukrainians were killed as a result of this boondoggle, and Brussels. And so the European Union specifically were pushing for this to be prolonged. Well, now those chickens are coming home to roost. So here's what the Wall Street Journal is reporting overnight, that Trump would immediately demand that Ukraine stop all combat operations. Okay, and set up an 800-mile demilitarized zone. So that means all of the Donbass and these regions, that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted combat operations to stop. They wanted to stop being genocided since the 2014 coup that was backed by the CIA and the Obama administration under Victoria Nuland that set this whole process in place. And all of those people that were being killed in Donetsk and throughout all of the Donbass would be protected. No more military action, and basically moving towards peace. Now, the plan emphasizes halting combat in Ukraine, but still providing military aid. This is where I think President Trump likely will step in on some of this talk on this and probably bar Ukraine from getting any additional U.S. weapons, especially if J.D. Vance has his say on this, stop sending any weapons at all. So right now, this may be a compromise, right? Yes, you lose the Donbass region, which is fully ethnic Russian. They voted, of course, to become Russia. They said they wanted to become part of Russia. They're tired of being killed by Ukraine. So you're done with that. That's done, gone. You're going to stop military operations. And yes, the United States would still be funding or providing you with some military assistance and training for a while, but essentially ending this war. And the biggest part of this and the biggest middle finger is that all of these efforts now and any sort of extension of what happens in Ukraine would be handed over to the Europeans. Like it would basically come off of America's back. And Europe, you want to fund any more of this? Good. Europe is going to handle the rest of this now in this roadmap.
Have at it.
This is unbelievable. So Poland, Germany, Britain, and France would all have to put forward their resources, put forth all of their resources to continue this if they want any kind of involvement in this anymore. And the Trump administration basically saying, we're done. We're done with this. Another big piece of this is that the Trump administration, the new Trump administration, would bar Ukraine from entering NATO. They put a 20-year, no way you're not joining NATO for 20 years. Sorry, Zelensky. I mean, this is like the biggest middle finger possible.
Yes. That's why Zelensky keeps posting about how much he loves Trump on his telegraph on X. It's really fun to watch this sort of groveling.
The little troll.
Of this murderous little troll.
Who is a dictator, by the way. Did you see the meme that was floating around yesterday? Maybe you shared it with me, and it had a picture of Zelensky next to Nancy Pelosi. Or no, next to Kamala Harris. Mm-hmm. And it said, see, this is why we cancel elections. Mm-hmm. You know, because he canceled the election in Ukraine, and therefore he's still dictator. And so, you know, if the U.S. would have just canceled the election, instituted martial law, then, you know, Kamala Harris may become president of the United States. So this is a big move. And of course, J.D. Vance got in a huge heated argument back and forth with Zelensky. And of course, you know, basically calling the guy like a little groveling troll. So there is no love lost right now between Trump, J.D. Vance, and Zelensky and the Ukrainian corrupt government. Remember, J.D. Vance said, we're depleting all of our military stores, sending all of our weapons over there. What in the world? He's even on the record saying, he was on Steve Bannon's War Room. He says, I don't care about the border in Ukraine? Why do Americans involved in Ukraine at all? But here he was on the Senate floor saying we need to build weapons for here in the United States to protect our homeland. Watch.
Here right now, depleting critical munitions, missiles, artillery shells, and bullets faster than we can replenish them, and then we send them to Ukraine. Well, I'm sorry, why does that make an ounce of sense for our own national security? Shouldn't we rebuild our own manufacturing capacity before we spend all of it on Ukraine? Shouldn't we make more of our own weapons and gain some self-sufficiency in weapons manufacturing before we send all of those resources to Ukraine? The answer of the United States Senate is apparently not.
So looks like this gravy train is coming to a grinding halt. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. And
if they mean it, I mean, I'm sitting on tenterhooks here. Like, you better mean it. This is one of the things that most of us based our votes on. So you better do it. Yeah. I mean it.
End this war, end these people, this needless killing, and hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians being killed because of a Western-backed coup and boondoggle. And you know, let BlackRock and Vanguard, which now owns almost all of Ukraine, let them get to work. You know, building all of their apartment complexes and the stuff that they were going to do to steal all your land. Like, that was the whole plan all along, was destroy Ukraine. Every Ukrainian man would die, and BlackRock and Vanguard could come in and take all this land. That's exactly the plan. So now end it. It's done.
Well, that's exactly what was happening to the people in the Donbass, incidentally, is that they are mining valuable resources, which is in Western Ukraine, and they've been complaining for a decade that we mine all this resource, we send all our money to Kiev, we pay taxes, we get nothing in return, no infrastructure. So now that they are part of Russia, their economic situation has changed. Too bad, Ukraine, you forsake that. What's past tense of forsake?
Forsook,
maybe? I don't know.
People asking about Gaza. Yeah, that's the other big question. What are they going to do about Gaza? And over the past 24 hours, there are indications that Hamas is ready for peace talks. Mm-hmm. We'll see. I mean, right now, as our friend of the show, Dan Cohen, had tweeted, you know, Gaza is a parking lot and has been utterly and totally destroyed. It is a massive land grab, as you know. And so we'll see. I think Trump absolutely does not want any war to continue in that region. He's absolutely said that. We'll see if he calls up, Netanyahu and says, end this now. But at the same time, Netanyahu is firing his head of the military. So we'll see how this all goes in Gaza. Well,
MSNBC is calling for the revolt of millions of Americans to defy the Trump administration in any means possible. This is something that they accused conservative media of doing to Obama. At the very notion of Obama, they hated it. They screamed about it for 8 years, but now they want it for Donald Trump. On the air yesterday, far-left talking head Rachel Maddow urged citizens, the military, media personalities, everybody basically, and everybody with power, to resist the incoming administration so that America doesn't become authoritarianist. We don't want that.
We don't want that.
I don't know the country I'm living in, but oh no, that's called a coup.
Is she not aware that this country is already authoritarian, silencing voices, censoring voices, blocking people on social media, having your Department of Justice teaming up with liberal social media companies and going after and censoring Americans, imprisoning Americans?
Right.
I mean, okay.
So that doesn't seem like it will happen if this video is any kind of indication of how the military feels about a Donald Trump presidency. And I recall that MSNBC was telling us throughout the 4 years of the previous Trump administration that military leaders hate Trump. They want to defy him. They're having a hard time obeying him. Okay, well then why at this military barrack in Virginia was this the response to the announcement that Donald Trump had won the presidency? Watch.
Attention inside and outside areas. The winner of the 2024 presidential election is Donald J. Trump.
At 1:48 in the morning.
Let's go!
Yeah, good luck, Matt Al. Where do you think the U.S. military? Do you think the military is going to carry out a coup? A military coup against Donald Trump?
Now, what do you think that they are cheering about? What, they don't have to die? Oh, no, this guy doesn't want to send us off to pointless wars based on Lies. Yay, we might get to live. We might not have to go to so many trainings about diversity and racial division and microaggressions. Yay. What do you think? What else?
I absolutely think that's the case. Pay down the debt, actually make the military strong, make sure that they're taken care of, veterans are taken care of. And so, it's amazing because yesterday I saw a video that Tucker Carlson interviewed Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and it was a remarkable moment. Robert was talking about how he was on the flight with Trump just the other day, and Trump was having a meeting about the Middle East. And Trump got out a piece of paper and he drew a complete map of the Middle East from memory.
Oh.
To exactly what it looks like, naming how many of you could do that right now? How many of any of us could do that? He drew a complete complex map of the Middle East. He labeled each country, and on that map, he also labeled the number of American troops in those particular countries. But he specifically zeroed in on Turkey and Syria. And he said, why? How many troops do we have here on the border of Turkey and Syria? And one of his military advisors said 500. Mm-hmm. He said, what's going to happen if Syria and Turkey, come together in a massive war, which hundreds of thousands of soldiers? He said those 500 Americans would be cannon fodder. They would be killed.
Yeah.
And he said, why in the hell are we there? Why in the hell are we there? And first of all, just the fact that he has this photographic memory of the Middle East, and then he knows that 500 Americans would be killed in this event, to me speaks volumes about it. So I hope, I'm very hopeful right now that we get out of these foreign wars. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., remember, a few months ago said one of his big plans, he would close all 900 military bases around the world, U.S. military bases around the world. I wonder if he has Trump's ear on that and if Trump would do that. But I think maybe that's why they're cheering.
I mean, that can't be. Rachel Maddow told me he's stupid and he doesn't read books. And so that can't be true.
He knows all the
I was told not to believe that.
He knows all the troop strength in all of these Middle Eastern countries, and he drew a complete map of the Middle East. I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
Yes, very impressive. Yeah. That's something my son works on in AP geography. So interesting. Okay, well, then she's again calling for liberals to rise up. And the quote is, get scrappy as hell. Okay, that's going to be difficult given that liberals love to subsist on biopharmaceuticals that hurt them and weaken their muscles. Right. And they also are very big on fat shaming. They want the freedom to be as fat as possible. And they think that anyone who goes to the gym is right wing. So, all right, so good luck with that. Also, they hate gun rights. So how are you going to fight? Right? With what? With your attack dog? Also, who will you fight? Because look at the map. When you break it down county by county, you're on the losing battle here. If you're really talking about who is fighting who in a civil war, what you're looking at is the election results, which counties were overwhelmingly Republican and which counties were overwhelmingly liberal. And what I think a lot of people have been saying online when you break this down is there really are not blue states. There are only blue cities. So go right ahead if you want to participate in this. I don't think it's a good idea. It's also not legal. Also, the odds are, as they say in the Hunger Games, the odds are not ever in your favor.
Well, they will try to assassinate President Trump once again. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of General Mike Flynn, who warned last night that the deep state will try to take him out again before Election Day. Here was General Flynn talking to Steve Bannon just yesterday. Listen.
Directly to Trump. You have got to feel, so confident that there's always going to be risk, but that the people around you are going to protect you with their lives, and there's not going to be any shenanigans with the quality of the people or the numbers of resources that you're going to need. I don't care whether it's aircraft, whether it's air defense systems, or whether it's human bodies. That's number one, because they have already tried it a couple of times. They'll try it again between now and inauguration. That to me is job number one, is for Trump to stay alive. And I mean that. And I hate to say that in our country, but we've already, this is not, I'm not making this stuff up. These are already things that have happened.
Yeah. So for Trump to stay alive, not going to some crazy rallies where there's not security, making sure that he's surrounding himself with people that he absolutely trusts, body men that are absolutely the most trustworthy people that you could put in front of you, making sure that the Secret Service is taking every threat seriously. Like this woman who just posted this on TikTok calling for people to find a hitman to go after President Trump.
That's not legal.
This is what she's literally posting this on social media. This is the kind of stuff, the crazy people that are trying to get President Trump taken out before he becomes president of the United States. Watch.
Quick question. So does anybody know how to find or hire a hitman or woman? Because we don't want to be sexist. So, but I think we could pull this off collectively. If you want to chip in, DM.
So if you want to chip in, DM her. She's calling for this. Unbelievable. These people are delusional. Flynn said this also.
That's supposed to be a federal crime. That's supposed to send agents to your house.
A solicitation for the hiring of a hitman in order to go after and kill a political figure, a president-elect of the United States. I hope they go after her, and I hope the Secret Service is paying attention.
That's not covered under free speech laws, girl. That's not.
No, and I think they only go after, gender stuff. If you post anything negative about dead naming somebody or something like that, they're going to come to your house. But something like that, and you're on the left, you're pretty safe.
Okay.
That's so sad. Yeah, exactly. Well, Flynn said this. Most people in America have no idea what's called HQE, or highly qualified experts, that are people that are hired inside the government. What he's saying here is that Trump needs to, on day one, all of these people that are hired under what's called HQE need to be thrown out of his government. He breaks it down and explains who these people are that would handicap a new Trump administration. Listen.
That most people in America have no idea what's called a HQE, or highly qualified experts, that are people that are hired. And this administration is going to hire a bunch of people just like Obama did, stick them into key slots, and they're going to block and tackle, every single day. Those people have to be eliminated. I mean, taken out at the knees, dismissed, take their clearances away, take their badges away, and tell them, thank you for your service, you're done. And that has to happen literally on the Friday of Trump taking over.
So he gets into office, then there's hundreds of people that are there, these sort of career people that are put in place to kneecap him. So when he wants to do something, he's told no, that he can't do it, or that they basically, he doesn't even know that they blocked him from doing it because they've done it behind closed doors. These are the deep state permanent people. Get rid of these people. J.D. Vance knows what's up. He just spoke with Tucker about this very same thing. It seems like they're all on the same page with getting rid of these people. Watch.
Trump's main campaign platforms, one of the main things that he talks about, and of course, I think he learned in some ways the hard way during his first 4 years in office, is the president recognizes that if you have people in your government who you tell to do something and they disobey you, that's not like checks and balances. They're part of your government. The check and balance is the House, the Senate, the judiciary, right? If the people in your own government aren't obeying you, you have got to get rid of them and replace them with people who are responsive to what the president is trying to do. If you don't have that, you don't have a real democratic accountability.
You've got to be a nut cutter, because that's the system at stake.
That's right.
That's democratic control. How do voters have any control over their government if the people they elect have no control?
That's exactly right, man. And again, it's we have to sort of remind ourselves that it's real people who suffer because of this, right? There are Americans who are dead because the Joint Chiefs of Staff didn't listen to the President of the United States when he said you need to do troop redeployments out of Syria.
Yeah. Exactly. So, and you have people who didn't listen to the president. General Mark Milley, who's now worried about being court-martialed. President Trump gets in January. So get rid of these deep state swamp rats. And as Tucker said, these nuts, the nuts of these individuals need to be cut off.
Well, here's another story the Biden administration does not want you to see. It was buried in the chaos of the election. Just before the election, the Biden administration lowered the standards for military enrollment once again. So what they did was expand the list of medical conditions that will not disqualify someone from enlisting in the armed forces. Ukraine did that recently because they are so low on military enrollment. Basically, their entire population of men has been killed. So now they're saying they'll take people who are quadriplegics. They'll take people who are disabled, mentally disabled. Are we heading in that direction? And again, this is because military enrollment is at record lows at a time when the Biden administration's appetite for war is at record highs. So, in other words, the standard of joining the military is once again lower. And that's not funny because that makes everybody safe. If you are in a war zone, unsafe. When you're in a war zone and your partner can't keep up with you or perform basic things because they're busy having an asthma attack, then what are you going to do? Then both of you are at risk. Biden started this pilot program back in 2022. We went over it, and specifically how they had also lowered the physical fitness requirements as well, especially for transgender people. They basically took it all out. You can have any kind of body, which is totally fine. And now it includes 51 medical conditions that no longer disqualify somebody. So we've talked about how this has happened in pretty much every law enforcement agency and military agency across the board during the Biden administration. We looked at the Secret Service physical requirements in the aftermath of President Trump's first assassination attempt. We saw that if you want to join the Secret Service, you don't even have to run. You have to run 1.5 miles in 19 minutes, and you can walk. So that's wild. That's where we're headed. So do you feel safe with those kind of military requirements? That's what they're doing behind our back.
Well, just like the liberal girls crying on TikTok, the liberal late night hosts, Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Seth Meyers, Stephen Colbert, basically cried for an hour last night. Instead of doing comedy, which of course is their job, they are paid a lot of money to make America laugh. Right? People would put away their politics for the day and their tough day at work, and they'd sit down and watch Johnny Carson, and they knew that it was going to be a funny night, and they knew that they were going to laugh.
Yeah, they suck at that.
They're really bad at this. They're not funny at all anymore. Jimmy Kimmel, who's the worst of them all, called Trump a dictator, called him a little man, called him authoritarian, all of the names you could think of, was the worst of the bunch. He kept fighting back tears the whole show last night. He called election night the worst Taco Tuesday of his whole life. Watch.
Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine, for NATO, for the truth and democracy and decency. And it was a terrible night for everyone who voted against him. And guess what? It was a bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
You're too stupid to know what your vote represented.
He needs to turn in his man show card.
Yeah. It was a terrible night for journalism.
Imagine crying over NATO.
It was a terrible night for NATO, the world's greatest aggressor. Like you're crying over NATO. You're crying. We just told you about what's about to happen in Ukraine. This war is about to end in Ukraine. So you're crying over. Well, who are you crying over? Because hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians have died.
This war I've been enjoying so much is going to come to an end. This was my favorite show.
Piece of shit. You warmongering piece of shit. You're really upset about it.
It's like Game of Thrones ending for him. That's so sad. It's been a fun war.
A tissue for Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, you can have that.
I'm just so sad. I'm so sad. I'm
also,
so sad for the ending of wars right now. I just don't. I want wars to continue. I'm so sad for all the journalists.
Yeah. I would like to let you know that as journalists during the Biden administration, we have been living through a hell on this show. We are constantly punished for real journalism.
Oh, yeah.
So
we're constantly
his
banned
kind
and
of
blocked.
Journalism, his kind of government propaganda journalism is at stake here. It's not real journalists.
He's sad for women. I don't know if he knows.
I don't want this.
But women voted overwhelmingly for Trump. The women who were supposed to come out and vote for Democrats didn't. They didn't vote for Kamala Harris. They didn't vote for her. Women voted for Trump. So what is he so upset about? Well, this has gone viral, of course, and the social media responses are amazing. Watch this young black man really lay into Jimmy Kimmel for his lies. Watch.
A terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, justice, for free speech, for poor people, for the middle class.
Let's address some of this nonsense being spewed out of the mouth from the man who thought that people who were unjabbed shouldn't get hospital beds and should just be left to die, and who's now pretending to care about healthcare and science. Speaking of science and protecting women, hey Jimmy, I need you to define woman. Because how can we protect a woman if we can't even define what one is? I have a wife, 3 daughters, a mother, a sister, and they all support Trump. And they're overjoyed about Trump being elected because they know he's going to protect them from criminals coming across our border to harm them, from men being allowed in their sports and restrooms, and be a protector of children, even those coming across the border, unlike Kamala and Biden. You also made the ridiculous claim that it was a terrible night for free speech. Have you not been living on social media or in America the last 4 years? Have you not seen the censorship that's taking place across all these platforms, conservatives getting banned left and right for speaking the truth?
Yeah. So I wonder if Jimmy Kimmel will watch that, or he's just going to live in his little echo chamber.
No, he'll live in his little echo chamber.
Yeah.
All right, a medical lab in South Carolina says there is almost no danger to the public from 43 monkeys escaped from a biolab. Keyword there, almost. How much faith do you have in the word almost?
Don't worry, but there's biolab monkeys in your backyard.
Yeah. Almost.
I'm sure it's nothing
doing
to see
some
here.
heavy lifting in that sentence. They said the spokesperson for the police.
We'll probably be okay. We'll probably be okay. I mean, there's
I've seen the Planet of the
here.
Yeah.
I've seen the Planet of the Apes movies. I know how this ends.
Yeah. Okay. So a spokesperson for the police chief of that town says they are not infected with any disease whatsoever. They are harmless and a little skittish. Watch the local news report about this.
For 40 monkeys that escaped from the Alpha Genesis facility in Yemassee. WJCL 22 News' Kyron Naveau live in the Low Country, keeping his head on a swivel with those primates on the run. And of course, this is a public safety alert. Kai, what is the latest on these missing monkeys?
Well, Frank, good morning. So yeah, like you mentioned, 40 monkeys escaped from the Alpha Genesis facility. It happened around 9:45 last night, and police are asking anyone to just, if they see them, to stay away, and that's why we're here at the municipal complex here in Yemassee. But here's what police are doing right now to find those monkeys. Like I mentioned, 40 monkeys escaped 9:45 last night, and currently police have placed traps all around the area to capture those monkeys. Now, so far, I have no idea what those traps actually look like, and we're trying to get more information about that. But police.
Okay, maybe you want to know and like tell your kids don't play around the monkey traps.
Yeah.
So
yeah, what's scary is like you grab one to put it in the van, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Right.
You will not take me. Get away from me.
Yeah, these are not free pets, kids.
Yeah,
Stay
do
away
not have
from them.
conversations with them.
So what they're saying, ABC News is reporting that an employee didn't fully shut the enclosure. Mm-hmm. And they say they haven't recovered them all yet, but they know how to do it with fruit. Okay. So hide your fruit, and locals are also being asked to shut their windows and doors so that monkeys don't sneak in your house and then hide there. And you're like, how'd that get in there? So the same lab has had monkeys escape several times actually. In 2018, they had a fine after dozens of primates escaped. They also lost 26 primates in 2014 and 19 in 2016. So does this bring up a conversation about biolabs, gain of function, medical experimentation in certain communities? You want to have that talk? Should we maybe do that or not?
I wonder how many people in that community know that these biolabs are even in their backyard and that they're carrying out these experiments. Right.
You have to think they know, given that how often they're escaping. So like that again.
Well, we had that big fire at the biolab that we talked about in Georgia, and then what's going on at Fort Detrick.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So late night driving in with like COVID vaccine. the COVID virus.
Right.
This is all happening in your backyard. Gain of function research.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to know about it. I'm sure nothing to see here. Nothing.
My mom used to live like literally across the street from Lawrence Livermore Labs. You remember? We would drive by and be like, what's happening in there? So a lot of people, there's some stuff going on that you just don't know while you're living your life.
And I was going to say, if they do happen to get in your house, just make sure you have title lock, because that'll.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Now, that won't stop a monkey.
Right.
It'll just stop thieves. All right. We've got more news to get to here on your Thursday. We're live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Thursday. So thank you guys for subscribing and being a part of our great community here. We really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting independent journalism and not the mainstream media and the mainstream corporate media. Coming up next.
We're going to talk about liberals having a sex strike. And it's funny, but it's really not funny because Democrats have made them so scared and miserable that what they want to do is just isolate themselves in their house, have no husband, no baby, no relationship. Do Democrats bear any responsibility for this miserable population of women? We're going to have a girl talk for a second. I'm going to talk to you, ladies.
Let's do that.
We're going to do that. But first we're going to tell you about our friends over at Beam, because if you're anything like me, you know how tough it is to wind down after a long day. And, if you're struggling with falling asleep, especially because you're so just amplified by the news of the day, your phone, what have you, and you wake up feeling like you didn't get to sleep at all, then you need to check out Dream by Beam. This is a sleep supplement that not only tastes delicious, but helps you get the rest you deserve. The deep, restful sleep that leaves you feeling refreshed when you wake up. No more groggy mornings or hitting the snooze button. It's just a sleepy drink right before bed. And if you're struggling to find that restful sleep, then take a look at Dream. It has no added sugars, just 15 calories per serving, and it comes in all kinds of fun flavors like peanut butter, cinnamon cocoa, pumpkin spice, and apple cider donut, just to name a few. And it's made with high quality ingredients that are all natural. So shop early access to Beam's biggest sale ever when you click our link or scan the QR code that's on your screen right now, or use the code Redacted and you'll get 50% off. So don't miss out on this limited time offer. Shop Beam's biggest sale, 50% off. Go to shopbeam.com/redacted. Use our code Redacted. That's a limited time only.
Before we get to your sex talk in a second, I just want to give an update here on Chairman Powell. So Powell was just asked if he would resign for President Trump. Like if Trump asked him to resign, would he? Because he can't be fired. That's unbelievable. The Fed is unbelievable and cannot be fired, right? It's an unelected position. So Powell just lowered interest rates once again. Just slashed interest rates once again. But he says, no, he will not resign if Trump asks him to. Like, what? Okay. End the Fed. End the Fed right now. Maybe we need Ron Paul to step in.
Well, Ron Paul has said that he would advise some kind of Elon Musk shrinking government advisory board. I'm all for that. So he's a student of Austrian economics, which is actually no perversion, no manipulation of markets. So that would be very exciting to see.
And a return to a gold standard, really. That would be ideal.
What is the interest rate cut? 1/4 point?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There we go. Down we go. Well, liberal women are on a sex strike to protest the election results. This is being called the 4B movement. And conservatives are saying, this is not the flex that you think it is, girls. It's funny in kind of a mean sort of way because it's so ridiculous. But it's not funny because the Democrats are making their own people absolutely miserable with their fear-mongering and bearing no responsibility for it. So here's how liberal women are rallying to this cause. This is a Reddit post, like, ladies, get off the dating apps. No more sex, no more pregnancies. The vow of celibacy starts now. Keep interactions even with men to a bare minimum. Ignore them online. They no longer get access to us unless they can prove that they're capable of caring about our basic rights. Even the good men, this woman says, failed us by letting the bad men proliferate. What were they supposed to do? So even if you have someone, this is collective punishment. They're saying even if your man voted with us, he has to suffer too, they're saying. So if your husband voted for Harris, he still doesn't get any sex because they're so miserable they have to be punished. Now, I have said many times I was really upset about the 2016 election, so I get feeling this way Do you think it's too racy to say that I did the opposite when I was that upset? Maybe it is. Clayton went and dropped off the kids, and I was like, "You need to come over here and make me feel better." Is that TMI? Okay, sorry.
I'm gonna go get a snack.
It helps. I'm going to say you should do the opposite. Did I embarrass you? Yeah, he went off camera. He embarrassed him. Okay, we're married. And actually, okay, let me talk about how to not isolate yourself and feel worse. Here's another woman saying that she really thinks she's teasing men with her celibacy.
Baby, if you wanted to touch my body, you should have voted for it.
Okay, again, collective punishment. Can you regain yourself?
Can I just say,
I'm back.
Too much?
I'm back, baby.
I got to say, I'm excited about this because I think this might make the dating app experience much better now because I won't have to sift through, people with that mindset. Like it'll
perhaps.
just be.
Well, I think this is amazing, right? What you're saying is don't go out there, don't further the liberal human race at this point. Don't further the human liberal race. You're basically saying, you know what? We're sort of gonna kill ourselves off. We're not going to procreate.
Right.
We're not going to have babies anymore. So we're not going to have to influence children, all of these things anymore. I mean, basically what you're doing is you're kneecapping yourself.
Yes, exactly so. And here's how one woman describes it. She says, don't even get married and divorce your husband. She starts by saying, don't track your periods online because if by some chance you get pregnant, the government's going to come and make you have that baby. And then watch her just get more and more extreme. Watch.
You're going to get your tubes tied. I don't care if you're not sexually active right now because guess what? That doesn't mean you're not going to get pregnant. And speaking of that, I'm sorry. Don't get pregnant right now. I'm sorry. It's your life. You do what you want. My advice to you for your safety is to not get pregnant right now. I am not going to get pregnant right now, even though I would love to have a family one day. That dream just went out the window forever unless I move to another country. I am not having a baby in the United States. I won't do it. Another thing that you may really disagree with, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I care about you and I want you to be safe. If you and your male partner voted differently this election, if he voted for that man, you need to leave him. You need to leave him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You need to leave him. I know you love him. I know you love him. I know you think he's going to change. I know you think he just doesn't understand your problems. I know that you think he's more concerned about the economy. But especially if you're married to him, you are in danger right now. You are in a lot of danger. I just know that one's going to get a lot of pushback. But this is my opinion. Sure, whatever. This is my opinion. Do what you got to do. But if that resonated with you, listen to your gut. Speaking of marriage, I wouldn't get married right now. If you do, get a really, really strong prenup, but I can't promise you that that's going to be honored. I mean, I wouldn't be getting married right now. I would have your own bank account. I would have your own money. I would be saving that money. That's another thing. Save your money as much as you can right now. No frivolous spending. Be careful for the holidays. You need to be conserving your resources right now. Why did I say you shouldn't get married? Because it's possible that in the future you're not going to be allowed to divorce him.
I mean, she really wants to live a happy life. You can tell. She's going to be the party of joy.
That is the joy that Kamala was talking about. Mm-hmm. Imagine being married to her.
No, she won't get married to anybody.
She just said conserve your money. She sounds like a conservative. Like, what's the problem?
Conserve your money. No, you know what it sounded like to me when she said that is like basically hide your money. Hide your money from your spouse, hide your money from your partner. Like, there's a lot of this like duplicity that we've heard over the past few weeks, like hide your vote from your partner, hide your money from your partner, like save up and stockpile stuff because you're going to be a single mom, you're going to be a single, a single woman out there, and be a miserable single lady.
Well, I do want to talk about the consequences of that in a second, but first, look at this one conservative. Most of them are having a field day with this because, you campaign so strongly on abortions, but then if you are celibate, you won't need those abortions. So that makes no sense. I warn you, this one's a little offensive, but we're doing sex talk, so we're going to listen.
I think it's so ironic how liberal women and women who voted for Kamala are saying that for the next 4 years they're not going to sleep with another man. I find it so ironic because at least then you won't need an abortion. It took you Donald Trump to get in office for you to stop being a whore. See, things are already starting to change for the better.
Damn! Oh, shit.
Emotional, damn it.
Okay, so yeah. Now here's another woman saying she's coincidentally single. Shocker. So she's not going to date or have any sex at all for the entirety of the next 4 years of the Trump administration.
I'm going to be honest, I was very blindsided by the results this morning. I've decided that cigarettes don't count today, and I honestly might go get a tattoo. But I also have decided that for the next 4 years, I am going to abstain from schmex with men. And funny enough, I actually just broke up with my boyfriend a handful of days before the election, and it had nothing to do with the anticipation of Donald Trump winning this election. It had everything to do with problems within our relationship and massive differences between who we were as people, which was unfortunate and sad. I wish him well, though. But yeah, as a woman, my bodily autonomy matters, and this is my way to exercise sovereignty over that. So I highly encourage any other women that are single and care about progressing women's rights and still fighting for our bodily autonomy to do the same. Delete your dating apps, because we can come together in community, and if you need somebody to cuddle or hold your hand or give you a kiss, I bet you one of your girlfriends would do it, okay? And you don't even have to really be gay, okay? It's okay to have a lot of platonic love for the next 4 years. I think we can look to South Korea and the 4B movement as a point of inspiration for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so what she thinks that she will get out of this is that men will be so sexually frustrated that they will never consider voting for Trump again.
No, what's going to happen is these women will be miserable single ladies with no children, and they will be lonely, and they will not procreate. And men who are conservative and want America to be great and want our border secure and want to protect children from perverts in locker rooms, those people will find women who also feel that way, that want secure borders and don't want the perversion of children. And they will come together and create amazing families. So they're shooting themselves in the foot. Right. They are going to die off. This is called Darwinism.
Go ahead, David.
I was just excited about.
I was going to say.
Okay.
Oh.
Philip, go ahead.
You don't get to be excited. I'm talking right now. So this is basically. So I had a conversation with my daughter about this last night, and so it's like brought up that it's basically the plot of Lysistrata, the Greek play, and where like all of the women of the village band together, they deny sex, even the prostitutes, everybody got involved and they enacted change. It is an actual way. It's been there's been several other places this has happened, and it actually is an effective means of change. The difference here is it only works if all women get involved, and so if you're not getting conservative women involved, then it's not accomplishing anything that you want. It's right. You can do it as protest, and that's fine, but you're not going to enact the change because not everybody is involved. It won't work if only half of you are involved.
Yeah, and I think that conservatives actually we do want diversity of opinion. I want to talk about this in a minute, because one of the things, a couple things, there are more women than men in this country. So it's hard enough for women to find men in the first place. So if only some women are self-selecting out, it doesn't hurt men because they already have the privilege of choice. Now, when she said, I'm going to get a tattoo, like I'm really going to show them and mutilate my body, that's part of another part of this. Women are shaving their heads or getting tattoos, like you sure showed them, Trump voters. This conservative TikToker who has a Thomas Sowell poster in his house says that if this can show this is like your team uniform, then conservative men know, okay, I'll just avoid those ones that look like that. Watch.
But beyond that, your ideology will no longer be able to be carried forward to future generations at the same rate that it would if you had children. So do your thing. And also, I'm also seeing that women are also shaving their head that are also participating in this, which is even better because if you're a single guy and you see a woman walking around with a shaved head, you might as well breeze past her because there's no point.
I love that. Yeah, that's a signal. Oh, she has some sort of special tattoo, or she shaved her head in protest. Like, just men run past that.
Okay,
run
but
right past it.
You never know why
start making
someone
TikTok
has a
videos.
Okay,
I'm actually going
but
to start making TikTok videos encouraging this.
Okay, but no, you never know why someone has a shaved head. They could be sick. For instance, this TikToker has lupus, I believe, but she is spot on about how all the ways that liberal women are upset about reproductive rights are based on ignorance and media spun lies. You would think that she's a liberal by the way she looks, but she's not. Watch her speak this total common sense.
First, he's not planning to do a national abortion ban. He gave that right back to the states. It is a states issue. He has no plan to codify anything against abortion. That is now up to the state. So not something he is after at all. Second, reproductive rights. He supports reproduction. He supports IVF. It is actually part of his campaign that he wants insurance to cover IVF 100%. He is fighting for anything to help women have children.
So,
but don't tell anyone that, because people want to say that he's, the massive abortion ban. Trump supported the exact same thing that Ruth Bader Ginsburg supported. They were literally, if you looked up Trump's plan on sending, because Ruth Bader Ginsburg also thought Roe v. Wade was a terrible law.
A lot, yeah.
And that it should be sent back to the states. That was the position of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the idol of the left. They loved Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the Supreme Court, right? It's the exact same. Trump, Ruth Bader Ginsburg on abortion, the exact same. Yeah. But you don't want to tell them that because, that'll undercut your narrative. They can't hear that.
Right. And I don't want to give in to the temptation of mocking these women. I actually know quite a few men who got in big fights with their wives because their wives have Trump derangement syndrome and then took it out on their husbands this week. And so men are taking the blame for this. And really, it's the media and the Democrats who should take the blame for this. They set these women up for this pain. They scare the hell out of them. Their entire campaign only got worse under Kamala Harris when she stole it from Joe Biden. Like this ad that sets up men as the enemy of women that was narrated by Julia Roberts. Watch.
Your turn, honey. In the one place in America where women still have a right to choose, you can vote any way you want. And no one will ever know. Did you make the right choice?
Sure did, honey.
Remember, what happens in the booth stays in the booth. Vote Harris Walls. Vote Common Good is responsible for the contents of this ad.
God, so disgusting.
Yeah, that's diabolical because it sets up men as the enemy. It shows an utter lack of respect for the family and relationships. It promotes dishonesty. It suggests there is no path to even discussing your difference of opinion. You must hide it out of just sheer religious loyalty. And it reminds me of the study that we talked about last week when we talked about the campaign of joy and the reason that young liberal women are so miserable. This study done in 2022 showed that liberal teens have the highest rates of depression. And now we're seeing them take to TikTok and utterly lose their mind because they've been set up for this. Researchers looked at 86,000 high school seniors and found that kids who identified as liberal had a much higher rate of depression, and those rates were rising faster. You can look this study up yourself. According to Abigail Schreier in her new book, Bad Therapy, this is because society puts all these abstract problems that they cannot control, such as reproductive rights, sexism, microaggression, climate change. They just see injustice everywhere and they can't cope. Look at how it breaks down by gender. The liberal women here, which is the dark blue line, and liberal men, which is the light blue line, have higher rates of depression than conservatives and a steeper slope. And then look how it breaks down when you account for parents. If you look at liberal kids, they still do poorly when their parents don't have a college education. But when parents do have a college education, they do much worse. So these college-educated liberal women now will not have children. That means fewer children for them to make miserable, because college-educated liberals are suffering, and we see it. And it's really not funny, and for two reasons. One, we're always better off with a diversity of opinion. We don't want liberals to just die off and shut up. We want to have conversations with them instead of having this conservative echo chamber, right? We want to have conversations with people with differing opinions and come to an agreement. And it also means that this generation of women will deny themselves the joy and security of a family. Not only do married people fare better economically, we've shown you that data, they also live longer and report higher incidence of happiness. That data is so easy to find, I'm not even bothering to bring it to you. Even a Google search will bring that up. Even biased Google will show you that. So if Democrats really cared about these ladies, they would not let them suffer like this. They would be honest about the Republicans' true stance on reproductive rights. They would stop telling them men are the enemy. They would stop being so damn divisive in every subset of people, race, gender, sexuality. Donald Trump had what liberals only dream of, which is a victory of true diverse voters. He brought together voters of every race, gender, and sexuality. Democrats say they love diversity, but they're pissed that the Trump campaign was able to achieve it. So it's amazing, right, that this party of diversity is dividing so much and then creating these single, miserable, sexless, childless women. So that cat lady bit doesn't look so good now, does it?
It doesn't. Well, we got a lot more news to get to here on your Thursday. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify something really quick. When I said I was going to make TikToks, I meant to encourage women to delete their dating apps, not shave their heads, just to be clear.
Okay.
I don't like the head shaving. I just want them.
Well, one woman said she's going to re-download all the dating apps, try and rile men up with flirtatious rhetoric, say she's coming over, and then not come over. That was her way of really getting back at men. And that's so cruel. Why would you do that to someone you don't even know?
Do these people
we already
have
have
jobs?
bots that do that.
Do we?
On dating apps. Yeah, bots will like set up the whole process, and then when it gets time to meet, they're like, I need gas money.
Jesus.
Oh,
well, that like I think it was I want to say it was OkCupid or one. I don't want to get in trouble for getting it wrong, but one of the dating apps, like the app itself was running bots to keep men interested and have men buying the subscriptions. So they had bots that were pretending to be interested women and that would respond to the men, and just so they'd buy premium.
Oh,
I went out with a couple of those.
Yikes. Okay, that also seems diabolical. Okay, don't drown yourself in your own sorrow for politics, girls. It's not worth it. You need to focus on your own life, have a family, and think of something outside of yourself. So, and yeah, like I said, the opposite works too. If you have someone you love and you're really sad, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay, I won't bring that up again because it embarrasses Clayton. You're such a...
Someone in the chat, Joaquin says, I'm new to Redacted. Is the hot chick your wife or your sister? The hot chick... no, David is just a friend. He's a producer here on the show. He just recently shaved his beard.
But thank you.
That's David.
I appreciate that. I've not been called hot very often, so.
Thank you for that.
We are married.
We are married.
We're not married to David. No. David and Philip are brothers, though. Right. So it is a family show.
That's right.
All right, we have more news to get to. Not married to each other or other people, I think. Right. Exactly. They're single, ladies. So if you're not on a sex strike, just saying. Okay. Yeah. Before we move on, I'm sorry I'm pimping you guys out. I'm a little racy today. What's got into Natalie?
Hey, I don't mind.
Let's find out.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. All right. I'm a married woman. You guys don't get any ideas. We're going to talk about whether or not a conservative. You don't get any ideas.
Wait, you weren't talking to us, were you?
No. All right. The way that actually worked in practice is Clayton went and...
All right, we don't need to go...
I'm not going to give you details. As Clayton dropped off the kids, I was crying over Trump,
right.
and I said...
All right.
Okay.
All right, yeah, we don't... Okay, let's move on.
You want to do the sponsor then? Since
we have a lot of news to get to here on this Thursday. All right, the last half hour. Okay, we have a lot of news to get to here on this Thursday. We're going to talk about a blue wave possibly coming to Canada. Yes, would a conservative wave be flooding over Canada in the wake of Trump's victory in the United States? We're going to talk about that in a minute. We're also going to take all of your super chats and all of your Rumble rants here. So get those in. Any kind of questions you have about the election, anything else that's on your mind about the future of this country, we're going to dive into those here as well. So, But first, we
want to tell you about our friends over at Ground News. This is a great website to go to for your news, because not only does it give you the news of the day, but it also lets you know how that news outlet has reported its bias. So when you want to see something like the news today that the Federal Reserve has dropped the interest rate, it will give you a list of outlets that you can go to, such as ABC News, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, and it will label whether that coverage is slightly biased in one direction or another. Now, we, of course, do this here at Redacted because the algorithm, if you're just using a news search site or a social media site, is going to continue to put you down your own conviction bias. So you're just going to see more and more things that you already agree with because the algorithm does that in order to keep you hooked. But you want to see the other side, obviously. We want to be able to consume a diverse perspective, and that's where Ground News comes in, because if you're like, wow, how could anyone ever disagree with this? Well, you can find the opposite side coverage by just going to Ground News. Listeners of this show can get 50% off their top tier Vantage plan by going to ground.news/redacted. You get all the world's news in one place. Check it out. Head on over to ground.news/redacted and you'll get 50% off their top tier plan. So one more time, that's ground.news/redacted.
Well, the liberal meltdown is real and can be seen across the world right now, internationally. Here's just a taste of some of the liberals melting down on social media.
How did we get here? How did we get here?
What in the Alice in Wonderland nightmares is going on right now?
All I can say is, how fucking dare you?
If you voted for that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala, and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote, fuck you.
Senate race. It's not gonna happen.
Go Kamala.
I chose family. I chose women. I chose America. I love you.
How the fuck is this still happening? All I've ever known politically is hatred.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. I'm just done with all of this.
And the same can be said to our friends in the North, in Canada. Liberals posting on social media, losing their minds that the end of the world is coming now that President Trump has been reelected in the United States. So let's go to Canada. I want to get some international perspective on what has happened in the United States. To our friends from the North, great journalist David Creighton, who writes at the Post Millennial and has a great YouTube channel, Creighton's Right, up there in Ottawa, Canada. So, David, just at a high level, how is the Canadian liberal media responding to Trump's election, and just Canadians writ large?
The liberal media, the mainstream media, is reacting exactly as you might expect. Panic! This is catastrophic. We have most of our columnists lining up saying that this is going to be one of the worst events in world history, is to see Donald Trump reelected. And interestingly enough, they're using exactly the same language as you see from the Democratic Party, as you saw during that whole campaign, that Donald Trump is a fascist. Donald Trump will be a dictator from day one. Donald Trump was going to put Liz Cheney in front of a firing squad. All of these falsehoods, all of these complete misrepresentations about what Donald Trump is about. You said it well the other day, Clayton, when you said The mainstream media is either dead or dying. And that's exactly what's happening in Canada. These mainstream journalists, of which I used to be one, just can't understand why Americans voted for Donald Trump again. They can't understand why there's such appeal for Donald Trump amongst working class Americans, amongst middle class Americans, amongst Americans who want an end to foreign wars, among Americans who want an end to runaway inflation, who want law and order on the streets again and not illegals flowing across the border in the tens of millions. They don't get it, Clayton. They just don't understand this. And there must be some other reason. And of course, we had a Democratic strategist on CBC News on election night, the same Democratic strategist who proclaimed Donald Trump believes in eugenics. And he's no better than Adolf Hitler. So she comes to Canada to spew that nonsense. And of course, the CBC crowd just loves that. How do most average Canadians feel? I don't believe the polls suggesting up to 60% of Canadians wanted Kamala Harris to win this election. You know, what's not being mentioned is so many people are saying, oh my God, Trump is going to impose tariffs on Canada. What's the first thing Joe Biden did as president on Inauguration Day? Issue all of these executive orders destroying Donald Trump's immigration policy, but also relevant to Canada. He shut down the Keystone XL pipeline. That was one of the first things he did, destroying thousands of Canadian jobs. I haven't heard a single person in Canada even reference that yet. So maybe I'm saying this for the first time. I think one of the first things Donald Trump will do as president, because he's an energy independent president, will be to reinitiate the Keystone XL pipeline and giving back thousands of jobs to Canadians and Americans in what was a fantastic energy project. So all of this nonsense about storm clouds on the horizon, people are not thinking, those people who say that anyway.
No, I think the energy revolution is coming, and I think the United States and Canada are going to have a very fruitful future in the energy relationship. Everything from uranium to gold mining to oil to natural gas. It's going to be, I think we're going to see a revolution in energy policy over the next few years between the United States and Canada. What's interesting, though, I think for a lot of these liberals, and I don't say this derisively, but I really believe that they're just talking into an echo chamber. So they don't want to be on X. They'd rather be on Threads. I mean, who's using Threads? They don't want to hear any sort of dissenting voice. So they just want to talk amongst themselves. They don't want to be educated on how the United States actually works or could be improved upon. And so they're crying on social media. They're so upset on social media. I just hope that there's some sort of soul reflection point now where these liberals sit back and they say, wait a second, maybe I should just educate myself. Is this going to be as bad as I think it's going to be? He's going to round people up, throw them in prisons. America is going to return to some sort of medieval dark age. Or are we on also just for Canadians who've seen skyrocketing prices for housing and inflation and prices for food and all of the things that make Canada in many ways unlivable for young people. The kids who want to go to school in Vancouver, how are they going to afford to actually live in Vancouver? You can't. It's impossible. The prices have skyrocketed. So maybe there will be a point of self-reflection for liberals in Canada. Take a step back from this and say, wait a second, these policies, the Joe Biden policies, the Justin Trudeau policies that have gotten us here, maybe aren't the best policies for Canadians. Do you think that there's going to be a point of self-reflection now in Canada or no?
Actually, I do, because I think people are willing to invite some positive change. I think there's room for optimism. I don't often say that, Clayton, but I listened to Kamala Harris's concession speech yesterday, and I was thinking, my God, don't incite riots. Don't incite this backlash. And I thought it was a relatively responsible speech coming from Kamala Harris. And I think this was a sign that maybe people are going to work together to bring back some prosperity. I think this is a realizable objective. I had a comment on my show yesterday, my broadcast yesterday, somebody saying happy days are here again. And I think maybe that's where we should be going. We haven't heard that since Roosevelt was president or Reagan was president. But at least maybe people are thinking, this is an opportunity. Donald Trump represents an opportunity. That's certainly what I've been telling people, is that we're not just getting Donald Trump. We're getting people like Elon Musk involved in government. We're getting people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. involved in Canada in politics. This could be a substantial opportunity with all of this talent getting involved and invoking change and making things better. And I think that's an opportunity. You see nothing but absolute fear on the faces of Justin Trudeau and Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland. They don't know what to make of this. They were expecting a Kamala Harris victory. And I tell you one thing they are concerned about: what happens to all of these people who are going to be deported from the United States? And I believe Trump will follow through on that promise. J.D. Vance has talked about 1 million deportations a year. Are they going to go north? And if so, the Trudeau government is going to have an immigration policy that is on par with the United States. And I think this might be what happens here, Clayton. Not that Trudeau thinks he's going to go it alone. Not that he thinks he can ever go it alone without the United States. He can't. Canada can't do that. But he can amend his policies in accordance with what's happening in the United States, however long he survives. And I think his days are still very limited. But I do think there has to be some recognition that the immigration policy has to be fixed in Canada, like it is going to be fixed in the United States. We cannot have an open border in Canada because we're looking at all of these deportations that could conceivably go north after that takes place.
Looking at the county by county maps this morning, and it was an absolute landslide for President Trump across all demographic groups. People in their 40s voting overwhelmingly, Generation X, people who have children. It's very easy to be selfish, to be like a selfish liberal when you're in your 20s, when you don't have any children to take care of, and it's all about navel gazing. It's all about me. But when you have children to take care of, suddenly you care more about safety. You care about your borders being wide open. You care about violence in your schools. You care about mental illness from people who have a mental illness and they're shooting up schools. Like, those are the things you may not care about in your 20s, but when you have children, you absolutely start caring about that at a level that you've never seen before. So I think when I looked at these county by county maps today, and I see just an absolute red wave across all demographic groups, from Latinos, Jews, Muslims, all voting for Trump. It was a total repudiation of liberal policies in the United States. And I find it very hard to believe, David, that is just divided right there at the border between the United States and Canada. Do you believe a red wave is going to be coming to Canada during this next election? Do you think Pierre Poilievre will be the next Prime Minister of Canada?
Well, I do. And I encourage Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party to look on this as an opportunity, as a positive source for the next election. And don't listen to these detractors who say Donald Trump's not popular amongst Canadians. Use this as an example of opportunity. And that's what he needs to do, because traditionally the Conservative Party has been afraid to embrace Donald Trump. They've been afraid to embrace that kind of change. They can't do this time, because this is an opportunity for the entire continent to renew itself. There's no question. Donald Trump's not just about getting us back on a fiscally responsible path, bringing back prosperity. This was, as I said in a human events column just before the election, this was a choice between Donald Trump and the end of America. If things had have continued the way they were under the Biden-Harris administration, it would have been absolutely catastrophic for the future of America. Donald Trump is offering a solution here, not just to close the border to illegal immigration, to offer a fiscal policy that brings prosperity, but it's free speech that matters to me the most. This is a president who will care about free speech. He has said that repeatedly with people like Elon Musk. I think that is the opportunity that Canada has to look at as well. And Pierre Poilievre he's an intelligent man, and he's cautious, but I think he will look at this in terms of how it can best benefit Canadians. And I think he'll be the first one to say, hey, yes, the Keystone XL, Biden canceled that. Trump will probably re-engage with that. Very, very likely. Freedom of speech, all of these things that Trump has been fighting for. This is good news for Canada. Not to get distracted by the craziness of Trump being some kind of fascist or some kind of dictator. This is all projection from a Democratic Party that went after Donald Trump for the last 4 years with lawfare and with judicial persecution. And that's all that this is about. I think Poilievre is a very happy camper right now over the results of this election. He hasn't quite said it that way yet, but I think he's getting there.
Yeah, I think there's a quiet movement. Maybe Canadians are maybe more reserved in how they feel about Trump, and they're not you see all these videos in America where husbands just didn't tell their wives they were voting for Trump, and now these liberal women are freaking out, and so I think we're going to see something big happening in Canada over the next few months. David Creighton, unbelievable moment there. Great to have your perspective from Ottawa, Canada. Thank you so much for joining us, David. As always, great to see you.
Thank you so much, Clayton.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it. As always, great to get the Canadian perspective. It's interesting to hear the responses from Canada, from Germany, from what's going on in Europe right now over this. So
we had a super chat at the top of the show that said European leaders are pissed about a Trump presidency, but the European people are not. So thanks for that perspective.
Yeah. So good time. Hey, we're going to take your super chats here and your Rumble rants in a minute. But first, gold prices just hit a new high. They're up significantly today, spiking. Why? $2,713 an ounce for gold. Silver also. Why is that? Well, the Fed just once again devalued the U.S. dollar and slashed interest rates, the Federal Reserve. And Jerome Powell was just asked during this meeting, hey, if Trump fires you or asks you to resign, will you resign? And he said no. Like these unelected globalists who basically have control of our monetary policy. It's unbelievable. That's why gold and silver, precious metals are so important. Ron Paul, we had on the show last week, Congressman Ron Paul, who wants us, of course, to return to a gold standard in the United States. That's why you have these BRICS countries that are buying up so much gold right now and starting and launching their own currency. So we are watching the decline of the U.S. dollar and the rise of precious metals. And that's why it's so important to be an investor in those precious metals. And our friends over at Lear Capital can help you get set up in buying precious metals. You can buy gold and silver sent right to your house. You can store it in your gun safe if you want to, or you can store it off-site in a 24-hour facility that's under lock and guard. So your investments are protected. You do you, whatever you feel comfortable with. And it's very simple to do. Just call them. They're an American company. They're a patriotic company, and they're listed as one of the most American patriotic companies. We had on the CEO of a company that focuses on specifically highlighting American patriotic companies, and Lear Capital was one of those companies. So when you get on the phone with them, 1-800-613-3557, you can talk to them on the phone. You're not going to be outsourced to some call center in India. Ask for your free silver guide right now. They've got a shortage. We've got a shortage of silver because it's used in all of these components, from rocket ships to solar panels and everything else. But it's also a currency. Yes, it's not only a commodity, it's a currency. So go there right now, ask for that free silver guide, talk to them about investing in precious metals, see what it's like. They have a no obligation to purchase policy. And even if you do purchase, you have a 24-hour time. You can call them back and be like, no, you know what? I'm not interested. I bought some gold, but no, I'd rather own US dollars. And you can do that, and they'll take care of you. Go to LearRedacted.com or 1-800-613-3557. Write that phone number down and give them a call. And I should say, we have a few really core sponsors here on the show that support independent media. We have like 4 per show, sometimes maybe 5. If you watch like Fox and Friends or any of those morning shows on national television, they'll have 25 different commercials. So we have just a few sponsors that support independent journalism. So, if you're thinking about investing or doing some of that, check out these guys. They've been a big supporter of our show for years, and we thank them for their support.
All right, we're going to get to your super chats. So thank you for sending those in. We try and read all the chats, and then we save some time at the end of the show for super chats. What a week we've had, you guys. What do you have to say? So we'll start with Rumble Rants that David will read to us,
Something
and
major
then
happened
super
this week?
chats.
Did anything big happen this week? I don't know.
Did anything big happen this week?
Right.
Yeah.
It's been exhausting for all of us. Go ahead, David.
All right, we got Connexus. Trump is the hardest man alive. So much hate thrown at him, and he doesn't back down.
Him and Tom Brady.
I mean, there's a guy, if you think about it, regardless of how you feel about Trump, like maybe you hate the guy, you have to admire his perseverance in the face of all of that. I mean, indictments and, persecution, what they did to his family members, being shot.
Yeah.
And you still, he could literally just go off and play golf if he wanted to.
Right.
He could literally say, I'm done.
I remember watching, again, during his first administration, Rachel Maddow telling me how much his wife hated him, how she wasn't living at the White House. She didn't like being the first lady. She really wanted to, and so now it's interesting to see it like, what do they know about that? Like, what will Melania's role as first lady be? And whose business is it? What do we have to expect of her? We didn't elect her.
Yeah.
These are things
By the way,
to watch.
It's important to note, President Trump did say today, no members of his family are going to be in this new administration. He's like, they went through absolute hell the last time and they're done. He's not going to have them involved in the administration, and that's it. And so, that's great too. Plus, I love that Jared Kushner's not going to be around.
Yes.
Personally, I'm happy about that, to be honest with you. All right, what else, David?
All right, DeVerico. I highly doubt Trump will install Pompeo. I'm pretty sure what he's doing is calculated to keep the intelligence in line until he takes the helm.
Hey, everybody, knock on wood right now. Everybody, knock on wood.
I mean, he had him speak at one of his rallies to a standing ovation, and he was on Joe Rogan and said he was a good guy. So I think he actually does like him. So I hope you're right, but I don't think you are. That Danny username, who was that great guy criticizing Jimmy Kimmel? Tell us his name.
Oh, the young man.
Young man on TikTok.
Is there a tag on his TikTok? I'll look for it.
She'll look for it. We'll try to find it. Yeah, the young man that has three daughters and a wife and his mother and all of that. It was great.
It's really hard to see this TikTok.
Okay, go ahead, David. We'll figure it out.
Okay, I'm gonna. That's all the Rumble rants, so I'm just gonna start putting the super chats.
Corey. Okay, I'm gonna spell it for you if you asked. It's Corey with a K, CoryYeshua 8. Corey Yeshua 8.
Corey with a K.
With a K. Corey with a K. Yeshua 8.
All right.
So,
Corey K. You said KOR. Okay, great. All right, here's some Fatty McButterpants. Thank you for your $10 super chat. I'm going to start calling you that, Fatty McButterpants.
No. He already calls me Plumpy.
Maybe McButterpants, but lose the fatty.
No, we have a joke in our marriage because
he calls me Plumpy.
Well,
because
we love each other very much, but we love the movie Love Actually.
And the woman's name is Natalie, like me, and then her dad calls her Plumpy. And when I was pregnant, he used to call me Plumpy, and I don't have any, insecurity about that, so I think it's pretty funny. Yeah. So he still calls me Plumpy.
So on Christmas, when I write out the Christmas gifts, I'll write to Plumpy.
Or Plumps.
Or Plumps, yeah. Because that's what he called her. It's pretty funny.
I don't mind it at all. Okay.
All right, Fatty McButterpants. Prediction: Trump takes oath of office, then announces he identifies as a woman, thus becoming the first female POTUS. The left is then forced to admit that a man cannot become a woman.
Yes.
That would be hilarious.
Okay.
Yes, that's really good.
All right, $5 from Prep Ham Paul. Woo! Greatest news team is here. I love you guys. Keep up the great work. Well, you're here too.
I love that.
Woo-hoo to that.
Is that a Jeep that he's standing on there? I like that green Jeep. Emily Serlis. It's a blue wave for Canada. In Canada, our Conservative Party is blue. Thank you, Emily. We got that.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like in Europe, it's a blue wave. It's conservative as well. But in America, it's a red wave.
All right, $4.99 from Lawman Land. My manuscript, First World Before the Flood, Chapter 22. Okay, that's something you can find on Amazon. Thank you for letting us know about that.
Thank you, Lawman Land. Mr. G, couldn't come fast enough to Canada. A blue wave coming to Canada. We'll see.
All right. $5 Canadian from Michael Willett. Much love and respect to everyone. Redacted for all the hard work you do in reporting the truth.
Thank you, Michael.
You so much. We really appreciate that.
Another one from Emily. Hey, he's got Canada. We're so fed up. We can't wait. We need a snap election here. Yeah, I think Trudeau is done. Toast. Globalists are done.
All right, $2 from Lord Tark. Oh, no more war? What a tragedy. I think you're saying that in a facetious way because of Jimmy Kimmel, because he cried over the ending of the Ukraine war.
I think so. John DeLeo. Satellites are on balloons. No authentic orbit pictures exist. Satellites are on balloons. Okay, interesting.
Okay. $5 from Free Men Die Free. The Fed chair Jerome Powell was asked if he would leave if Trump fired him. He said no. It's time to make Ron Paul Fed chair.
Wouldn't that be weird? Ron Paul becomes Fed chair and he's just written a book called End the Fed.
Yeah,
and he would
amazing.
literally just end the Fed.
Yeah.
He'd be like, all right, I'm now the head of the Fed.
He just walks in day one, locks the doors. All right, that's it.
We're done.
We do nothing here.
Flip off the lights. We're done.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing. Smokey Sargent, sex strike. I was always told to, at all costs, avoid sleeping with crazy people. Never sleep with crazy. I know, Smokey. That's right.
$5 from Men Die Free. You all need to be ready. The Fed has the ability to deliberately crash the entire economy for political reasons if they feel threatened. That's a super valid point.
That's
Thank
why
you
we
for
should,
bringing it up.
That's why, and I think the future of the U.S. dollar is tied to stable coins, and it's going to be removed in that way. It's going to be more on the blockchain focus. Mind of Tron, $2. No worry, it's no NNT November anyway. No Nut November. So,
how'd you know what that was?
Because I would absolutely never be a part of it.
Everybody knows.
Is that a thing?
That is a thing.
Oh, I thought it was.
Wait, isn't it also
November.
when you shave your beard in November too, right? So is it like you shave your beard and then
no shave?
No, you grow your beard. November.
No shave November, and then
I tried to do that. I tried to do that back when I worked at Fox News, and my bosses said no, you can't. They didn't want me to grow a beard. Remember that? Mm-hmm. They did not want me to grow a mustache.
And Clayton used to get emails from the higher ups and say he would go in. The show started at 6 with a fresh shave, and by 10 o'clock when the show was over, they'd be like, "Did you shave this morning?"
So I'm like a werewolf. Like I grow. My beard grows so stinking fast. So. Yeah. So I would have had a beard in like 2 days if Movember was allowed. But
you'd rock it.
No Nut November? No.
Okay.
Not going to happen.
$2. Oh, someone wants to say that?
Well, yeah, I thought when I first read that, I thought it was, I see a lot of Kentucky in her future, but then I just realized what that really is.
Thank you for
yes, I see a lot of
letting
KY
us
in
know.
her future. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
$4.99 from Truffle Shuffle. The irony that they are guaranteeing they won't need an abortion for 4 years is hilarious. I guess they don't want those reproductive rights after all.
Unreproductive rights.
Or unreproductive rights.
Thank you, Truffle Shuffle. Vic Zucchini, the underdog. Now I know I love the lengths to which Vic created his avatar, so much so that he even got zucchinis with sunglasses on them. I know what monkey traps are.
Monkeys jumping on the bed.
5 monkeys jumping on the bed. Yes, put a whole bunch of beds outside and have them jump on the beds.
Mama called the doctor and the doctor
that's good.
said, okay, $10 from Vito M4. In other news, stray cats are no longer a thing. And the top 3 kitty litter manufacturers just announced new plants on U.S. soil, expecting to hire 25,000 new workers. Make America great again.
All the stray
Look at
cats,
that.
cat ladies, meaning all the cat ladies, all the liberal cat ladies that are going to, they're going to take them in.
All right, $20 from Henry's mom. Love Redacted. Thank you, Henry's mom. Thank you so much.
Napweed says that's a relief. At least they won't breed.
Yeah. All right. $1.99 from Rachel Day. Childless Ohio cat ladies for Trump. There you go. Don't go on strike, girl. Go find. Do whatever you want.
Corn Pop 82. Remember when Joe Biden underwent a colonoscopy on November 19th, 2021? Kamala Harris served as the acting president for about 85 minutes. Yeah, Dick Cheney was too. Dick Cheney was acting president while George W. Bush was knocked out. Claudia Schindelholtz. I'm Swiss. I used to live in the United States, followed the U.S. election closely. I'm so glad Trump won again. The Western world needs to come back to normalcy and reason, respect, and peace.
Indeed.
Thank you, Claudia.
Thank you. $2 from Rod RR. Trump opened our eyes to the fake U.S. elections. You know what? I would say that's probably true because as we've seen, election fraud has been happening for decades, since the dawn of time. What matters is how we prosecute it.
Well, and I think many people are aware over the past 48 hours, even Rachel Maddow acknowledged it back in 2020, like the 20 million votes that showed up for Biden. Oddly, like where'd they come from? The greatest American president in world history, 81 million votes for President Biden. Where did those 20 million votes go?
Did they sit it out because the Republican Party did not absorb them?
No, because if you look across the board, basically Kamala kind of did what Obama did in terms of turnout.
Yeah.
And the Democrats before him. So it was pretty consistent. And then this bizarre anomaly where Trump got so many votes and then suddenly there was that many more over top just to make sure that Biden won. It's really remarkable where those 20 million people are.
Right.
Why didn't they vote this time?
Democrats are not going to like the answer to that.
Trisha, thank you, $2 super chat. What world are they living in, those liberal women?
She's talking about the celibate lady, but maybe Jimmy Kimmel too is also an interesting question. $5 from Just a Human. Is Brian Hook really a warmonger? Heard he was going to be on Team Trump. I think what you're talking about is somebody, I'm not sure. I saw Dan Cohen, friend of the show, was tweeting about that. Dan Cohen in relationship to
the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'd be Hook will be the head of the State Department. It's a diplomat.
Yes.
So he's very hawkish on Iran. So we'll see. On that front.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Yeah, of course, to me, the biggest problem with Trump is his Israel stance, but we'll see how this all comes together.
Yeah.
Stephen Morris, thank you for your donation. Greetings from Norway. You're a bright light in this media cluster F. A word of encouragement from us little Europeans. Maybe we are related, by the way, name and all. Up in Norway. We were just in Norway last year.
Last summer.
I want to spend more time there. We were just there kind of briefly, and I would love, it's been a dream of mine to spend a lot of time in Norway. Unbelievably beautiful place. So
we went to the Oil and Gas Museum.
Yes, we did.
In Norway, and I wanted to go to the front desk and say, who blew up the Nord Stream pipeline?
Right.
I just know all about oil and gas, but I refrained.
Norway
because
apparently
Clayton wouldn't let me.
I would love, they're like, hey, we just run a museum, lady.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I know you're from Redacted. We don't know the answers to the Nord Stream pipeline. This is just
we're just taking tickets.
Yeah, it's a fascinating museum. Golden Prospector Milo. $20 from Canada. Even with Trump, the monetary war will only ramp up. Will gold find new highs or have a lull because of the positive election? Hopefully get some funds for a drill hole in my Discovery at Lightning Peak project. Way to go.
All right, cool. We'll see about that. $20 from John Villarreal. Test, Redacted. Love your work. And job well done. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, John. Antonio, U.S. backed by gold, USD backed by gold, almost $3 trillion in fiat printed, and price of gold is at $2,700. It would be 8.1 quadrillion ounces gold needed. Am I wrong about this? I don't know the math, quick back of the math on this, but we would need to absolutely slash, because we're devaluing the currency right now in order to pay less interest on that debt. So the United States would have to slash enormous amounts of money from its federal debt. And this is a plan that Elon has put forward with this new DOGE, what is it called? The Department of Governmental Efficiency, where he would slash $1 trillion off of that governmental efficiency, and then another $1 trillion from other programs. And then because we're basically spending $6 trillion, or we're spending $6 trillion and taking in about $4 trillion in the United States. So that's unsustainable. So we have to get it like in line or down. So who knows?
Yeah.
Thank you, Antony.
10 Canadian dollars from Snowy. David is always changing his haircut and beard and coloring. David looks nifty. I'm an old lady, David, so I'm not a threat to you. Okay. Yes.
Find out from Snowy, David. There you go.
I don't know. I think she could take him. Is that what she meant?
That is true. David is always changing. He changes his studio, his microphone setup. Like every day, there's like some sort of new setup. Tomorrow he'll be on a prairie in the Swiss Alps. Like you know,
keep us on our toes.
So it is true.
And we don't always get to see it before the show, and then sometimes he comes in during the show. I'm like, where the hell are what's
Where
going
are
on
you?
there? Yeah, I try not to react.
He's yodeling up in Germany somewhere. Flip Pelozzi says, I love you guys. Do you think Trump will cut Social Security insurance? My aides think so, but I don't think so. I don't think Trump's going to touch anything as it relates to Social Security or Medicaid. That's not on the agenda.
He's literally
at
said
all.
he doesn't want to do that. He wants to not tax Social Security because it's double taxed. It's money you put in post-tax, and then you're taxed on the withdrawal of it. And he said he wants to stop that. So go ahead. Am I wrong?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that might be in reference to, because I think there was a House bill proposal this morning where somebody was proposing cuts to Social Security, but that was House Republicans. That had nothing to do with the president.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nothing to do with Trump.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, absolutely, you should not be taxed on money that you already paid tax on to put into those coffers. $5 Canadian from Snowy again. Does anyone know why Elon changed the Twitter name to X? He has had a plan to call a lot of things X and make X not just social media, but also search and other online tools. So I think this was part of a grander vision that he's talked about years and years before even buying Twitter.
And it's his kid's name. So
SpaceX.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Ozzy Rocca getting censored on here. Need Nat's help.
What?
How are you getting censored on here?
We see you, though.
We see you, Ozzy. So you're not being censored. I mean, YouTube censors comments, so I don't know if you've said something that they blocked. Who knows? But
we don't have a way to search yours.
YouTube has a whole list of words, and if you use any of those words, and even if you like, context doesn't matter, and it can be like a similar word or whatever, and they just block it. Like, we don't see it. We have a mod in the chat that can see it, and sometimes if he can catch it in time, because the chat flies by so fast, he will unblock it. But we can't do that while we're doing the show, obviously.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, YouTube. Rod RR, peace in Russia and Ukraine war, then China-Russia war. Yes, peace all around, and bring these men and women home, please, and close these military bases and reinvest in the United States. Thank you for that. Is that it?
That's all. Yep.
All right, everyone. Thank you for an amazing week. We really appreciate it. Yes, we are live Monday through Thursday here on the show, unless something crazy happens overnight. But yes, we will be here live Monday through Thursday. Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern time is when we'll be here. We have content for you over the weekend as well. So, I should mention, yes, before we go, that we launched a new channel on Freedom Chat. So if you guys want to download Freedom Chat right now for free, it's a chat platform that allows you to interact with us, and it's free from government censorship, and it is free from the Department of Justice invading individuals' private messaging and then targeting them based on their political affiliation. That's why we partnered with Freedom Chat, a private social messaging app that, like us, believes in privacy. That is a fundamental human right. So right now you can scan it, download it for free, just sign in, okay, and then subscribe to our channel at Redacted News on Freedom Chat. It offers true end-to-end encryption, built-in screenshot protection to ensure that no one can screenshot your conversations, no storage of messages on their servers, and no commercial use of user data. It's fantastic. So go to freedomchat.com/redacted or scan that QR code today and follow our channel over there. You can speak freely and message privately with Freedom Chat. So thanks to them for being here and being available for us to launch our channel over there as well. So,
all right, guys, what a week. Go have a weekend. Communicate with us on the channel with content that we have over the weekend or on X or any other platform. It's a time for us all to have a reset of our energy. We'll be back next week. There's more news to get to. So thanks for a great week. We'll see you next Monday.